Hey everyone, welcome back to another Persona 5 Panamex video, and in today's video I'm going to be going over how to get through the story boss mode fight for the second palace. So the first thing I want to be going over is just who I'm using on my team and why. So for wonders, I'm using Janonisek. I'm using Janonisek because of his hunting too, because I love his mark. So for one, when the enemy is marked, it increases the attack percentage by 20. As well as when you mark him with the Tacho shot, it decreases the enemy's defense by 24.3%. And as well, I'm using Rakunda because it also decreases the foe's defense by basically 35%. So that's why I'm using Janonisek. As well as I have Terrakaja just in case I want to use a single target attack buff. And then I'm using Lamelia because of her Glamorous Creed. I don't have her duped up yet, just because I haven't had the stamina to waste on it. But it just, the whole reason I'm using it is when foe is burning, increases party's attack by 10%. It's a minor increase, but what else am I going to use? Because I'm using a fire burn team. And the last one I'm using is Jiggleton because of the Wisdom of the East. So after using skill on an ally, increases main target's attack by 13.5%, and if the target's below 60%, it increases by 30%. So all I'm using is Mada Rukuja, and I'm making sure I'm using it on my On. So make sure you're focused on On, just so she gets that additional attack buff. And then you are forced to use Shun. I use my own Shun. I want to show you he's not even belt. I am running the control and departure just because of, for one, it gives me increased max HP. I don't really care about this effect right here right now, but it's mostly because of what works with departure. When attacking with a skill, decreases main target's defense by 23%. And when I look at Shun's kit real quick, or if you've seen my video on him, linked above, you knew that his second skill, Smash Hit, which isn't even leveled up yet, I'm still leveling it up. But I was just thinking I might be pulling Marin or Yui, so I've been saving all my mats for them. But when you use his second skill, decreases defense by 24.6%. And if you have Desperado active, it increases it to almost 50%, so 49%. And as well as with his Daunting Firepower talent, whenever you use his gun skill, his gun ability, you have a chance to proc a foe's defense decrease by 35%. And then you just keep using the gun skill until it lands. And of course, his icy defense increases party's max HP by 15% of Shun's up to a certain a maximum, and then also restores health, and then his thief tactics. So all of this helps you guys stay alive, because the whole idea is that you're staying alive and you're inflicting defense down. It's not a race; it's more of a marathon. But you do need to act fast so that your Lufel isn't running out of SP, so it can do his mass heal. And of course, as you can see, my Lufel doesn't even have his skills up that far either. They're only at 7 because I'm at awareness 6 from pulling on Joker's Manor, which hopefully some of you guys will have nice dupes on him. But Lufel's job is to make sure I'm keeping burn on the target, so on the boss, and as well as mostly providing healing, because you're going to need it at this level. If you're not like at level 60 yet, which I assume most of us are, I'm only at level 55 myself, and that's with me using stamina pots. But then of course after attacking with a skill, you grant Starfire to your allies, and it basically just increases the attack. So he's my attacker, burner, as well as a healer, because like I said, healing. And of course, I am using the Love and Acceptance just for the increased healing. And then of course, after healing a target, you increase their attack by 25%. And the last one I'm using is On. My On is A2, but the awareness honestly doesn't really matter, because me procking it did absolutely nothing for me for the most part. And then I'm running a power set because I don't actually have any of her power set yet for the fire damage. And then this set right here, it only helps my Lufel, which doesn't actually do anything. But that's the idea. As well as one thing, if you wait until after this video launches, you'll be able to hopefully pick up On's 5-star weapon, which will be another massive damage increase. But with that, that should cover everything about the preamble. Besides one more thing, you guys should have this already, but I want to let you guys know this right now. You want to make sure you have so you want to make sure you have some alert capsules and relax gels. If you haven't used them yet, you should already have them. But the whole point of this is that during the like third phase of the fight, you will be put into a dizzy. Dizzy doesn't really do anything. It's not that important, but you want to get rid of the dizzy so that your ally doesn't get brainwashed. Because if your ally gets brainwashed, every turn he gets to, he's going to attack one of your allies and probably kill one of your teammates. So it's either you're going to have to use an alert capsule when he's dizzy, or you're going to have to use a relax gel to get rid of the brainwash. One of the two. But just make sure you have both. So either you get rid of the dizzy, or you get rid of the brainwash if it actually comes to that. And with that, that should cover everything you need to be able to do this fight. And coming up next is me going through the fight and some of the phases. I'm not going through the entire fight because it took me 17 minutes to fight. All right, enjoy. So while going through this fight, all I'm really looking for at right now is this first phase. Doesn't really matter. I'm just debuffing and applying and trying to kill it as soon as possible. Whatever you do doesn't really matter. All that really matters is you're just killing as soon as possible. You're trying to minimize the amount of damage you take is the idea, until we get into the second phase, where the second phase actually brings in more mechanics that you actually have to be careful of. So once you get to the second phase, he spawns 2 essential shadow clones, and what you're trying to find is the guy who has the most HP, and you want to single target that one down. So for me, it is the guy on the left. So all you have to do is just click, and then you can check. So whichever one has the highest HP amount, you want to attack him. If you use AoE moves, what you probably have realized is that his two clones will just burst that character down. So you want to avoid moves as much as possible. And as he moves, it's easy to figure out which one is the real one, because you can of course be able to see the debuffs on him, as well as be able to see him taking have less of a HP. That's all you're looking for. And as you notice, as I'm doing this fight, I'm not really using my highlight abilities all that much, because I'm trying to save Shuns and Lothels as much as possible, just in case I need to use them as an emergency heal. And Ons, I don't want to use it on this phase because, like I said, they will just kill On immediately, basically. And then the next couple phases, I want to make sure I have it for when he spawns the cameras. But all this phase is just keep on single targeting him down, and then once he's defeated, we move on to the third phase of the fight. And also, the more debuffs you apply right now, they actually transfer over into the next phase of the fight. So using debuffing moves before killing is not a bad idea, because it helps set up for the next round. Into this next round, he starts doing a lot of damage. He just does massive amounts of damage. You see me using Okeano, but I would even suggest using, if you have a built puppet, just to help you live from all the AoE and single target he does. It's an insane amount. But I'm just trying to buff up and debuff as much as possible. So this time I'm using Rakunda just to get the defense decrease. I'm like, my whole thing with Joker is I'm going back, or not Joker, with Wonder. I'm going back and forth between the Tatra Mark and Rakunda, just keeping defense down. And as you can see, I'm using Shun's gun to proc that defense decrease. I'm going to do that first because it lasts 3 rounds compared to his skill 2, which only lasts 2 rounds. And then I'm using try to save Luthel's SP as much as possible, because if you're constantly healing or constantly burning, he'll quickly run out of SP from having to use the mass heal. And I'm kind of just saving. If you ever feel like you're in danger, feel free to use Shun's third ability, his buffing one that gives you health and HP max. And then I use this guy's ability just for the attack percent increase on the entire team, as well as increase on focusing. So I always want to focus on with that ability. Then as you go through, you just try to live. The whole idea of this fight is just living. You don't need to go super fast, as long as your Lufel and your Shun aren't running out of SP, but it's mostly your Lufel from healing. And before you phase, you want to try and have, you want to heal before phase. I didn't do it in this time. I got lucky in the fact that none of my characters died, but you could very likely die. So when it phases, you want to make sure your allies are as high as HP as possible. So right now we can see the fact that he's hidden behind the so right now he's hidden behind a little wall thing, and because of that, he's going to do a mass attack. So for the most part, you want to just shield everybody, but I'm also using a ailment cure right here to cure my dizziness, because if you don't, your ally will then start attacking in the next starting turn. Your ally will then start attacking your other allies, and then you'll have to use another ability or wait it out, or another item. But then you keep on going as is, and eventually you'll defeat this. So as he moves behind the door, you want to make sure you're shielding and making sure you're using your alert capsules on any allies who are dizzy, and then that will take us into the technically 5th phase of the fight. I think we're up to. And now at the start of phase 5, you'll see that he'll bring out these 2 projectors. So you're not really trying to kill him right now. You want to kill off the projectors, like those cameras, so that it brings him into a vulnerable state, essentially. But of course, as always, making sure to keep yourself alive. Because the main thing you can do is make sure that you're living. Because the boss will do massive amounts of damage, because we're at a lower power level right now. And then he'll do continuing AoE attacks, and as well as single target, and then eventually hiding behind his little wall thing. And then he'll do another attack. My idea is my characters are healthy, pretty healthy. I just increase their health right here. Make sure everyone lives. And then I'm just taking down the cameras with auto attacks, trying to save as much SP as possible. And once you defeat the cameras, he'll pop out, do a small attack. And now he's in a weakened dizzy phase. And now he's primed to be taken down and hop into the last phase of the fight. So once we're in this last phase, as always, you want to keep your burn going, and then keep your mark active as much as possible, and your other defense decreases. So I'm using Shun's highlight finally, just because I know I'm at the last phase. I've saved it for long enough. I don't need to. So I'm just making sure that nothing wonky happens, and keeping his gun skill going so that it keeps the decrease down on that. Because Shun's main priority is, one, if you need to use his third skill, use his third skill. But other than that, you want to use the gun ability and then his second ability. Keep alternating between these two. And then just like in the second phase, you want to find the real sword. The real sword is the one with this little pink feather looking thing on it, or on the handle. And then you just focus that one down, and then you'll be fine. You don't want to kill the other ones, or else he's going to do massive amounts of damage as always. And then it's just a rinse and repeat of this. You kill the sword, and then you move on. He pops back out, does a little bit of damage, and you continue fighting him. And of course, when you defeat the sword, he goes back into another weakened type phase where he's taking increased damage. So as long as you're healthy, you just continue fighting. And then if you continue following all those steps, you should eventually get to the end of the fight. You don't actually defeat him completely, as long as you don't have to take his health bar to 0. By the end of the fight, you'll eventually reach the ending cutscene, and then you are officially done the fight. With that, I hope this little guide video helped you guys figure out this fight and helps succeed in fighting it. Don't feel forced to finish the palace today. My best advice is just try to defeat it before the Sunday reset. So for me, that is at 2 p.m. Central or 2 p.m. Mountain Standard Time on Sunday. So basically just reset there, so that you can at least start banking the boss materials for him. But with that, I'm going to end the video there. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day and take care. Bye bye.